All right, today we're going to dive into one of the most moving poems from the 20th century. It's called Refugee Blues by W.H. Auden. It's an incredibly powerful piece that really gives a voice to people who often don't have one, and we're going to break down its story step by step. So the poem kicks off, and boom, Auden puts us right in the middle of this massive city. 10 million people. Some are rich, some are poor. But listen to that line that comes back again and again. Yet there's no place for us. This isn't about being rich or poor. It's about not belonging anywhere. In a city packed with people, they are utterly alone. And that feeling, of being an outsider, of having absolutely nowhere to go, that's really the heart and soul of this poem. It's a sad song, a blues song, about being displaced, about losing everything, even your own country. So who wrote this? Well, it was a poet named W.H. Auden. He was writing this in the late 1930s, and he was seeing a really terrible situation unfolding right before his eyes, as Jewish refugees were trying to escape from Nazi Germany. So this poem, it's not just some abstract idea. It's his reaction to a terrifying and very real moment in history. Wow, this part just captures that sense of loss so perfectly. The speaker is remembering their home, a country that, it's still there on the map. You can physically point to it in an atlas. But for them, it's gone. The door back home is locked forever. A place they loved is now just a shape on a piece of paper. And this is where Auden does something really clever and honestly pretty heartbreaking. He looks at an old tree that every spring comes back to life. It blossoms anew. Nature just keeps going. But then he looks at their passport, their official identity, and it's basically dead. It can't be renewed. So while the natural world is reborn, their life as a citizen has just been completely cut off. Okay, so they've lost their home, but now they find themselves in a whole new kind of prison. This one isn't made of bricks and bars. It's made of paperwork and bureaucracy. And bam! The first door is slammed shut, right in their face. This is that cold, impersonal voice of the government. The council's words are just brutal. If you don't have this one piece of paper, you don't exist. They're standing right there, breathing, but in the eyes of the law, they're officially dead. Then they try another door, and this one's different. It's polite, almost nice. They're offered a chair, but the answer is the same. Come back next year. It sounds helpful, but for someone who has nowhere to sleep tonight, next year is like saying never. It's the illusion of help, with no real help at all. And then there's the third closed door. This isn't an official or a committee. This is the voice of the people in the street. It's the voice of fear. Suddenly, they're not seen as people who need help. They're seen as a threat, as someone who's going to steal our daily bread. It's become personal. But you have to remember, all of this, all these rejections, they're all happening in the shadow of something much, much bigger and scarier. There's a reason they're running. The whole poem has been building this feeling of anxiety, this unnamed fear in the background. So who is it? Who are they so afraid of? Well, Auden is about to tell us loud and clear. And this line, wow, it just sends a shiver down your spine. That rumbling thunder in the sky isn't weather. It's the voice of Hitler broadcasting his message of hate across the entire continent. The problem isn't just that they're homeless. It's that they are being hunted. So when you're being treated as less than human, you start to look at the world differently. The speaker starts to notice the animals all around them, and it leads to some really painful observations. I mean, think about it. It's such a simple, normal thing to see, right? Somebody just opens their door and lets their pet cat inside. It's a small act of kindness, a moment of belonging that we barely even notice. And then comes the gut punch. That simple line explains everything. The contrast is just crushing. A house cat gets a home, a welcome, simply because it's not what the speaker is, a German Jew. Can you imagine? You feel so trapped that you look at fish swimming in a harbor just 10 feet away from you, and their simple freedom seems like it's a million miles away. It's a world without passports or politics that you can see, but you can never, ever reach. And here's the tragic conclusion the speaker comes to. The animals are safe because they're not part of the human race. They don't have to deal with our politics, our hatred, our cruelty. What a terrible, painful irony that is. As we get to the end of the poem, you can just feel the desperation growing. The search isn't really for a physical place anymore. It's become this dreamlike search for any kind of hope, any escape, any ticket to happiness. The speaker describes a dream, and it starts with this number, a number that sounds so huge and full of possibilities. 1,000. And this is the punchline to the whole nightmare. In their dream, they see this enormous building full of homes, 1,000 chances to be safe, 1,000 doors to open. And yet, the conclusion is devastating. Not one of them was ours. This metaphor is just heartbreaking. They've stopped looking for a city or a country to live in. Now, they're just looking for a feeling, for happiness. And when they try to get on that train, they find out it's completely full. Even hope itself is a sold-out journey with no room for them. And then we get to the very end. The poem leaves us with one last number, and it's 10 times bigger than the last one. 10,000. It suggests a huge, organized force. And this is the image that stays with you. It's absolutely haunting. They're out in the open, totally exposed, and there's an army on the move, actively looking for you and me. The search for a safe place to hide has ended with the terrifying certainty of being hunted. There's nowhere left to go. Auden wrote this poem about a very specific time and a very specific group of people fleeing for their lives. But the themes, feeling stateless, dealing with governments that don't care, and facing public fear, those feelings are absolutely timeless, aren't they? It really makes you stop and ask, when we hear these kinds of stories in our own world, whose blues are we hearing today?